Welcome, everyone. And let us invite Leonora to the stage.
Hello, everybody. We're going to say our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our full-weight promise, I have to cheat. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you. Thank you, Leonora. Okay, how about an inspiration from Brenda?
I was going to move over here. Do you have it set up?
To set up if it's going to be okay. No, it's okay. I'm just going to talk.
Oh, okay. I'm going to move over there. Yeah. If I can get around.
So I will share my daily meditation prayer that I do. Oh, great Mother, I appeal to all the positive powers in the universe, the great mystery. I seek enlightenment and to be mindful, grateful, and non-judgmental. I search for truth and expanded awareness. I acknowledge that truth has many aspects, and love is large enough to encompass it all. May I always trust in love and the process, and show up each day as the best version of myself. Give me the strength to rise above all fear and negative conditioning. Reveal to me all the ways in which I can serve. May I have the wisdom to use my resources, my gifts, my blessings, and my opportunities for the betterment of all creation. Let the harmony and love flow inward and outward. Oh, so good. It is so. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Let's introduce guests. Let's see. I know we have at least one visiting Rotarian. Vicki Snither from the Ivy Junction Club is here. Welcome. And are there any other visiting Rotarians? Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm the outgoing president of the Rotary Club.
Oh, that's right. Hi.
And if you is a new member,
thank you. Welcome. Any visiting guests? Any other guests? I didn't see anybody. All right, let's do a couple of announcements. A little bit of sad news. Kirk Brown is resigning our club as of July 1. He's going to be joining the Wednesday club. I asked him, did we do something wrong? What's up? And he said, no, it's his scheduling. It's just a conflict, something with his scheduling. And so he will be moving to the Wednesday club. I was hoping he was going to be here today, but hopefully next week and we can give him a formal goodbye. I just wanted to mention Tommy Drake and I today were at the Rotary Creek Farm with the Southern Oregon Land Conservancy and some kids, and we learned how to do nature journaling. It was a lot of fun, a really good activity. And then let's see, announcements.
So I'm going to say thank you for everyone who has paid their dues or who has their checks to pay their dues today. If you have not received an invoice, please let me know. I emailed them out, but if it didn't get to you, you may have the wrong email address. There may be some other mix-ups. So reach out to me if you have not seen an invoice, and I appreciate it if you can get your dues in too. Thank you.
On most of your tables, you'll find a little fun brochure. We did this last year where Banner Bank is doing a sweepstakes. First place is $100,000 toward a tiny home or $75,000 in cash. The second, we've got 3 more monthly drawings of $2,500 each. You don't have to be a banner client to participate. There's no obligation whatsoever. You can scan the QR code in the back or go to our website. You can enter daily. Last year, out of the 5 monthly drawings that we had for 2,500, 3 of them were from Southern Oregon, 2 of them were from Grants Pass. So I want us to be winners. So everybody at least join so that you have an opportunity. Oh, thank you.
Well, hello again from the Illinois Valley and the Cave Junction area. I am here to let you know of a fun and exciting event, which is the annual fundraiser for our club, and that is the Siskiyou Folk and Bluegrass Festival. It'll be Saturday, June 29th at Lake Selmac. And we have a fabulous lineup of bands, the Rosalees, 33 Stream Drive, and I hope that you will come out and support the youth projects that we hold for the Illinois Valley. And if you buy a ticket from me today, which is $20, I have a special little gift sticker for you. So thank you very much for letting me attend the meeting, and hopefully we'll see you on the 29th.
So it is my pleasure to be the person that will be passing out the sign-up sheet for the month of July. And you notice I had July 4th on there, but that is not a day that we're going to be having Rotary. We're going to be out, you know, shooting off fireworks, not really, because my pets don't like it. The 11th, the 18th, the 25th. Some of you don't realize the impact, Brenda, that you have on people when you do an inspiration. It can make your day, your week. It can mean a lot. So please do sign up, and you all know me well enough to know that I won't leave till the table has done.
I think Kelly is a good teacher. This is the sign-up sheet for the 27th of June, the event, and we have 44 total so far. If you haven't signed up, via email or last week's meeting, just sign up with me.
So I got two announcement, and then I get to talk about Porch Fest a lot. So congratulations to everybody on Porch Fest.
Okay, and I have one more chicken.
Somebody get the
that
chicken?
didn't get one? You.
Okay. First off, there's an awful lot of people who need to be thanked, and I'm not going to try to thank them all because I'm going to forget. But remember that even if you're like one of the quiet persons in the background doing, you know, your work quietly, and we may forget about you, but everything matters. Everything that you do matters. And Deb Brownell pointed out to me just a moment ago that she was getting kudos for being part of Porch Fest. She said, you know, I really didn't do anything. And understand that even if you're not maybe working on Porch Fest, if you're doing some other Rotary thing, that frees somebody else up to work on Porch Fest. So that really does matter. Whether you're actually involved with Porch Fest or you're just one of the cogs in the wheel of Rotary, it matters, and we appreciate you. And so I think our gross total is somewhere around $55,000. And our overall expenses are really low. Porta potties, security services, a little hot rods for people to drive around in, a little bit of advertisement. We really probably spend $5,000 less on that whole event. But we'll get the total numbers from Jan when she gets in. We raised about $5,000 the day of. So that's raffle tickets, t-shirt sales, donations in the bucket. So that day of makes about $5,000. So that's
More t-shirts. Yeah. Yes, please.
we will work on that. I think t-shirts are a very popular thing, and I believe Jim would be more than happy to order more t-shirts. I think he didn't order much because we sort of gave him some boundaries and said, let's make sure you sell all the t-shirts.
I'm only going to order more t-shirts with a guarantee from this club that if there are none sold at this club, every person here will buy the leftovers. Because every leftover t-shirt is an expense.
Yes, yes. So it all went really well. I think there are no hiccups and no obstacles. I think we'll meet soon. The team that worked on Portage will meet soon to talk about after action, what we might do next year to make it better, or just pat ourselves on the back for all the good work. And then we'll also start to talk about next year's event, and first task is to figure out who we're gonna give money to next year. So if you have an organization out there that benefits kids in some way, please let them know that we'll be taking applications. Patty, correct me if I'm wrong, we do those through our website, correct? Yes, so on our website. Okay, so that's the basic process. So thank you for that. And I think that's it for Porch Fest. And then we'll talk more about it in the future as we do things. Thank you all. I have a second announcement, and that is there's a group of us that I think we might have talked about this a little bit, that we're working towards creating a construction training program at the high schools. And the first effort is going to be at Gladiola High School.
Awesome.
And so we're going to start that in the fall of the next school year. But our first build is going to be some storage sheds, 8 by 10, 10 by 12 storage sheds. We need to sell those. So if somebody is interested in a storage shed, if you know somebody who might be interested in a storage shed, we need to sell those sheds. I'm sure they'll be discounted because we're just paying for materials and not labor. But keep that in mind, please. At some point this fall, we'll be coming back and talking about sheds. And hopefully we get the kids to come in here and do the sales pitch and have the conversation with the potential buyer. Because that's part of the learning process. I need to get off. Thank you. Sorry.
I'm going to keep this very short. First of all, there are green bags in the back, and I see some have been brought in. So if you want to take a green bag or bring it back next time, I will promise I will get them to the boothing. A couple community events going on that people might be interested tonight at 7 o'clock. The Oregon Forestry Department is going to be at the high school to talk about the fire map that is being presented. So that's 7, I think 7, 8:30 or 9 at the Grand Fest High School. And also, the city is having a 4th of July event like they had last year. So it is out at Mine Park. There will be fireworks there. There will be bouncy houses. There will be bands. There will be things. So there is something to do in Grants Pass on the 4th of July. So that is hosted by the city. So, and then I got a note from Barnstormers. I don't know if anybody else did about a thank you for our sponsorship of their camp this summer. I'm going to give this to Bev because I'm not going to be able to go, but they invited as many people as free. They do August 2nd before they do a presentation of their camp. So I just want to get out there that anybody who might be interested in a chance to go and see that.
Well, actually, there was one hiccup at least at the Porch Fest over the weekend. So I was standing in line and with food carts trying to get something to eat. And fortunately, there were some firemen next to me, and some man out of nowhere comes up and grabs me and said, somebody got locked in the bathroom. So if you remember, we rented our own porta potties so we wouldn't have to use the public restrooms. Anyway, some man, actually 2 guys, one man was in a wheelchair. He got locked in and the bolt has been disconnected so people can't lock themselves in. So we think, well, I have a theory of how he actually got locked in. Anyway, so I called Doug, what's going on? He called security. They come over. Of course, they don't have the key, so they have to call their office. And eventually some lady came, and it was maybe 45 minutes all together, but we got the guy out. And he was, the man in the wheelchair he was a happy guy, and he made light of it. But anyway, I just thought, wow, if anything could go wrong, that was a good one. Okay, how about, let's see, Brian, I think you're going to introduce our guest speaker.
Okay, we're back from Williams. Today I'm going to introduce Sarah Katz, co-founder and co-owner of Herb Pharm, which I'm sure you've all heard of. I met Sarah when we first moved here. We bought a piece of property right across the street from Herb Pharm, and somehow we ended up meeting. And we were on the watershed council together. We did a major remodel on the Williams Grange. We worked on that together. And Sarah was continuing on building her business, and I continued on buttering with mine. And she's considered an herbal pioneer, and she received the Herbal Pioneer Award from the American Herbal Products Association. And she's heavily involved in the herbal industry on many boards, and she's a big supporter of the Plant Savers. I believe, and she'll tell you about that, I think they have programs out at Herb Pharm that involves that. And anyway, she's also very instrumental in she and her husband David in getting the Williams Library, getting our new library, which I think we had a program a couple months ago on that. And she's been on the board for 15 years. And anyway, she stays very busy, mainly with herbal education and conservation of herbs and educating young people and all people in that. So, Sarah Katz.
Hello, thank you, Brian, for that very nice introduction. And thank you all for inviting me to come and speak to you today about Herb Pharm and herbs and what we do. And I was thinking about, we've been here about 45 years. We moved here about 45 years ago and started our business. And if I came in this room 45 years ago and I said, how many of you, I'm gonna ask you now, how many of you or somebody in your family uses medicinal herbs in your lives? Right, like a good portion of you. Not everybody, so maybe after today we'll inspire some other people to join the movement. But if I had asked you 45 years ago, probably nobody would have raised their hand, because herbal medicine was asleep in this country 45 years ago when we started. And it was alive and well in Europe. It had been a long tradition. Actually, herbal tinctures, which is what we make, which are liquid extracts like this. By the way, I prepared an absolutely beautiful slideshow for you, because Herb Pharm is very photogenic. We have a beautiful farm, and everything about us is very photogenic, but I couldn't get the USB, I couldn't get it to work. So these are the kind of products we make. They're liquid extracts, which have actually been made for over 2,000 years. The Chinese, the Egyptian, many old traditional cultures. They're very simple forms of making plant medicine, where you just grind up herb, either fresh or dry, soak it in alcohol, or sometimes we mix in other, maybe acetic acid or some other things, depending on the chemistry of the herb. But it's like making a tea, and we soak it for a few weeks, and then we press it out. We just have bigger teapots and bigger presses, and but we make about 250 different products made out of about 125 different plants. And at this point, we grow about half of the plants that we use on our various farms in the area. And then the other half we get from around the world. Herb Pharm's been a leader in the herb industry from the beginning, because we were the beginning. Really, almost nobody was making liquid extracts or very many herbal products at all in 1979 when we started our business. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and we've managed to stay in there and keep going. Business has changed a lot over the years. My partner, who I started the business with, Ed Smith, who's also very well known and highly respected in the herb industry, has been on numerous boards and gotten numerous awards. He was the herbal inspiration, and I was his little groupie who was so fascinated by everything he knew. But I was the doer and he was the inspirer, and between us we turned out to be a pretty successful team. At this point, we are the largest maker of tinctures in the country. And we're in pretty much every natural food store. We sell to naturopathic physicians, chiropractors, and we also sell online. We have a beautiful website. I wanted to mention that if you want to learn more about medicinal herbs. There's a ton of information on our website. Unfortunately, due to sensible restrictions, because people can make outlandish claims if they don't put restrictions on what you can say. So they're basically, the FDA has said you really can't say that herbs can't make any claims, your products do anything. So we try, a big part of being in the herb business is education, because there are so many different plants. There's so much to know, how they work in the body, they're all different. How do you take them? When do you take them? And so we try to do the best we can with giving the people the information we need, but we also, you know, people do a lot of their own reading about it. And so people become very educated on how to use medicinal herbs. And there's thousands and thousands of herbalists around the country now. It's been a wonderful growth movement, and we've been involved in pretty much every part of it. My slideshow is going to help me be a little bit more organized here, but I'm going to just go through my notes here. So we moved here in 1979. We operated the business out of our house for about 15 years. And then we got the main commercial property in downtown Williams, and we built a building. And we thought it was the biggest building in the whole world because it just seemed huge. And then 3 years later, we were building another building, and 3 years after that, another building. So we've got quite a little array of buildings in Williams. One thing that I think is kind of interesting to this group, because you're all into business and service, and that's what we do too. And so I do want to let you know that having a business out in Williams of the size that we do, because we had over 100 people coming to work in Williams, on a septic system. Oh. Right, right. So, and the property didn't even percolate very well. The first septic system we put in had to be a sand-filled septic. So as we grew, and we don't have just 100 people flushing toilets. We wash containers all day long. So we put in holding tanks and a lot of water conservation techniques, but we also put in what was a pilot program for the state of a waste treatment plant. It's like a mini waste treatment plant. And so we have a whole acre of land that's dedicated to that. So I began to understand why people don't have businesses with 100 people in a rural environment. But there we are, and we have been operating now out of that facility for 30 years, and it's been working. And that's actually, you know, been a kind of a groundbreaking thing we did. Another groundbreaking thing we did was that last year, we opened up a brand new facility. I don't know how many thousands of square feet, I don't know if it's 20, 30,000 square feet in Central Point by the airport, because we ship all day long, UPS, FedEx, and to come from Williams, it's an extra day, you know, just to get to the airport. So, plus we've been growing like crazy, and we were just outgrowing our facility in Williams. And so we built this large facility in Central Point, right by the airport. And so now we make the extracts in Williams, and then we ship the big containers to Central Point, where everything is bottled and shipped out. So another thing that I will say about Herb Pharm, so a lot of herb companies, I would say most herb companies and the products that you buy, they're ordering their herbs from various suppliers. Some people are more vigilant about the quality of the herbs that they get than others. Some companies are more vigilant. But at Herb Pharm, we always, for us, our motto used to be years ago, and it's still true, that an herbal product is only as good as the herbs that it's made from. And so, I mean, and all of you, you know, you eat food. You know that your carrot dish is only going to be as good as the carrots that went in it, and every vegetable, right? The flavor, the color, the nutrition. Well, the same is true for herbal plants as well. So that's always been a big focus for us at Herb Pharm, is controlling the quality of the herbs we use. And in the early years, the first extracts we made were just from wild plants. And I want to say too, that when we moved here in ¡79, one of the reasons we moved to Williams in Southern Oregon is because it's such a botanical wonderland. Not only is this somewhat of a Mediterranean climate, but we've got the coast and all the coastal plants an hour away. We've got the mountains and the mountain plants an hour away, and we've got the desert plants a little further. So there's a wide variety of wild plants available to us. And I spent a lot of the first few decades of being at Herb Pharm, a lot of time up in the mountains and at the coast and knocking on farmers' doors and saying, can I collect your weeds? And they were always quite happy to say, sure, you know, milk thistle, which is a noxious weed on the coast, very spiny. Well, the seeds are super good for your liver. And so we would go, I'd go there with groups of kids. I'd put them in a van and we'd go spend the day at the coast and help pick milk thistle and stuff like that. It was really fun. I did that for about 20 years, and then somehow I found myself being more and more in the office. So at this stage of my life, I'm actually no longer working with Herb Pharm. I mean, I'm on the board. I pay attention to what's going on. I'm on advisory committees for the company, but I don't have a daily role. I don't sit at the computer all day anymore. And I spend more time now out in my garden and collecting wild plants. So I've kind of personally come full circle, and I'm really happy about that. Let's see, a few other things that I want to tell you about Herb Pharm that I think are really cool is in the very beginning when Ed and I started, I would say, first of all, I want to say we never intended to build a company. It was never a goal. We didn't want to have any employees. We were just doing what we loved, and it was fun, and it was fascinating, and people were interested. And we, you know, make a few tinctures, and I would type up labels, and people would buy them because there was really nothing for sale back in the early 80s and the, you know, late 70s. And it was just fun, but we were also making a living. You know, we made $2,000 our first year, and we just couldn't believe our good fortune. And it's sort of interesting, it's been that way increased. We've always just felt very fortunate by what we did. And the fact is that the company became very successful. And we've been able to take that success and do good things with it. You know, we are very supportive in the herbal industry and also in our local community, which I know all of you, you know, are strong believers in that. That's why you're part of Rotary. I believe that's what Rotary is about. But we didn't want employees, but we did need help. So we put an ad in I don't know if any of you remember back in the day, there was a magazine called Mother News, I think it's still, and we put an ad in there, a little classified ad, looking for apprentices, people that wanted to come learn what we were doing, because we thought what we were doing was pretty interesting and people would want to learn, and sure enough, they did. And so for the first 7 or 8 years, we ran our business with students. They would come and spend the summer with us, and they would help us collect herbs and make the products and do every part of it. And they loved doing that. And that program became more and more formalized as years went on, and we still do that program. Now we have a farm. In 1994, we bought an 80-acre piece of land in Williams that I think, and a lot of people in Williams were laughing at us because they said, you can't grow anything on that land. It had been so overgrazed by sheep, there was pretty much nothing left in the soil. But we loved the property, we loved the view of the mountains, and herbs are fairly forgiving. Some herbs, you know, they grow on rocky crags, and you know, some like rich soil, but some herbs will grow anywhere. So we just started doing it, and now it's what, 35 years later, and that land is very productive. We've done scads of composting and cover cropping and all kinds of good agricultural techniques. And now that's a very productive farm. And we have a house on that farm that houses our students. And it can house 12 students. And it's quite a formal program now. They still work for us. You know, they still work on it. It's a learning, working situation. They learn how to grow herbs, how to make extracts, how to use herbs. We have a wide variety of teachers that come in and do classes in the evenings. We tap on all the different herbal people and experts that are in the area. Somebody comes and teaches about seaweeds. They go on herbal walks up into the mountains. So it's a very popular program. We don't charge anything for it, which helps to keep it so popular. We found out if we didn't charge the people that they didn't complain as much. So that was not too hard to go with. So it's an important part of what we do. Herbal education is a big part of what we do. And also the interns keep our company inspired. because there's all these young, mostly young people. We have had 60-year-old interns, but we mostly young people. And they're so enthusiastic and wide-eyed, and it keeps it all alive for the people that are in the company, having these very interested students that are always around. Let's see, at this point, we have about 200 employees. We have, oh my gosh, we're so spread out. From our little company that started in our house, we now have our downtown facility that I was telling you about with all the buildings. We have our 80-acre farm down the road. We have another farm that's owned by one of our employees that we lease. It's river bottom land, and she has water rights from the river, so we grow herbs there. And the last couple of years, a few years ago, we bought a company that many of you may know called Pacific Botanicals, owned by Mark Wheeler, who's a very close friend of ours and started about the same time we did. And in fact, we gave Mark his first seeds for growing echinacea, which is a very popular medicinal herb. He was growing carrots and beans and doing truck farming at the time. He said, here, try growing a little bit of this. And over the years, he built his business to become the largest grower of organic herbs in the United States. And so, and his farm, he's got several hundred acres in Wilderville, beautiful land. And he was ready to stop running his business. So we took that over, and now Herb Pharm has that very large farm. We also, in the last year, purchased another company up in Sequim, Washington called Myriad Mushrooms, because they are experts in the medicinal mushroom space, which is not something that we are experts in. We have always used medicinal mushrooms. We even make extracts for a few of them. But medicinal mushrooms is up and coming, one of the largest growing categories of health products these days. Mushrooms are so full of health benefits for everything from your immune system to degenerative diseases. So we're very, and so we found this company that was doing a really good job of it, and they wanted to hand it over. So we're finding a lot of that. Companies that started back when we did, and their owners are about the same age that we are, and they're like, I'm done with being in business like this, so will you buy us? So we're not buying everything, but because it all takes a big transition. But anyway, we're very happy to have the medicinal mushroom company, and we will probably bring that down from Sequim into Williams. That's the overall plan. Let me see what else. So we've always tried to do it right, and doing it right means using good quality materials and making the extracts right, but it also means being responsive to the planet, to the earth we live on, and so we've always been completely dedicated to organic agriculture. I mean, everything we have is either organic or what we call custom wildcrafted, which means collected from the wild, but from clean places and done in a way where you're not taking the whole plant and wiping out that population of plant. Maybe if you're using the tops of the plant, you just take the tops, you don't pull up the whole plant. You only take a certain amount from any stand. So we work with wild collectors all over the country and around the world. And but we very much try to make sure that we're doing it in a responsible way. And as far as our farming goes, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the things that Herb Pharm is doing, especially since I stopped being in charge. They've actually done amazing things. And it was a good thing for me to step down. And one of the things is regenerative agriculture. Does anybody know that term? Regenerative agriculture is kind of a new term. It's really becoming quite prevalent, and you probably will hear about it. It's regenerative, meaning you're making the earth better by growing on it. I mean, when you grow crops, you deplete the earth, and if you put in a lot of chemical fertilizers, well, you're not doing the earth a lot of good in that way either. So regenerative agriculture involves a lot of composting, a lot of leaving fields fallow or planting plants in there like legumes that nourish them and digging them in, but a lot of leaving fields fallow, so it takes more space. But Herb Pharm is a leader in regenerative agriculture right now. In the herb industry, we are the leader. And Matt Dybala, who is heads up all of our farms, he's on the regenerative agriculture board. It's something that we're we feel is very important, and we're, you know, we help to promote. And let's see, what else? Yeah, those are the highlights. If I had my pictures, I would be going a lot longer. Yeah, well, I was told that you all might have some questions, so maybe we'll go with that. Okay, there you go.
Want to grab that?
You said you have folks living in a house on one of the properties. Are they like workers? Yes, we do get workers. It is like workers. We also get people who are in college programs. Sometimes they get college credit for what they're doing. Sometimes they're workers, yeah, absolutely. But it is like that. It's people that, you know, they temporarily want to go work on a farm to learn, and they get housing and that kind of thing.
She wanted to define what's a woofer.
A woofer. Woofer stands for it's W. Well, no, willing workers on organic farms. So 2 W's. Willing workers, and I think I don't know, it'll be WW, but willing workers on organic farms is what I know it as.
All right, cool.
So thank you. That's it's a program that's all over the world. You can go to Australia and be a woofer, and a lot of young people do that. It's a way to travel, have experiences, and learn how to grow different kinds of crops. Susan?
I'll bring that.
Brian and I know how beautiful the place is. It's right across the street from us. Do you still have tours or a way for people to go? I mean, especially your teaching and learning garden there. I mean, it's just so fabulous. I would like everybody to be able to go see it since we didn't get the pictures.
Thanks, Susan. I know it's really a shame I didn't show you the pictures, but you really all do have to go out to the farm. And yes, in fact, I think last weekend they had a big thing that was open to the public, and then I think even all the library volunteers were honored or something at it. But yeah, we really do like people to come out and visit. We have, along with, so on our farm in Williams, the 80-acre farm, which is our main farm. It's not our largest farm, but it's our home farm. And that's where the interns live. We have an education garden that we put in. Thank you for mentioning that. That we put in. Well, when we first bought the farm, like in '94, it's the first thing we did. We put in the education garden, and we built a house for our interns because we knew those were 2 things that we wanted to do. And the education garden is a couple of acres. And it's absolutely beautiful. There's waterfalls and ponds, and it's divided into, it's all medicinal herbs, and it's divided into various areas by either region or usage. There's one area, and Brian, you mentioned United Plant Savers, so I will mention that. United Plant Savers is a national organization. It's actually centered out of Ohio. And it was founded in about 1994. I was one of the founding members. And what that organization is about, it was about 1994, so now we've been in business about 15 years. And we started noticing that some of the herbs from Appalachia, like golden seal and ginseng, those are maybe some herbs you've heard of. These are roots. And they were being dug up by the, tons. And there's only so many of them, and they were not regenerating as fast as they were growing. Prices were going up. We noticed the roots were getting smaller. And so a group of herbalists came together to look at the situation and say, we've been telling people that they should use medicinal herbs. Well, if they keep going at this rate, there's not going to be any medicinal herbs, wild medicinal herbs left to use. So we formed an organization called United Plant Savers, which is mostly an educational organization, although that organization's been around 30 years now, so that they have evolved also to where they're growing herbs and starting to supply herbs. United Plant Savers has a beautiful couple of 100 acres in Ohio, which is they have one of the largest stands of existing golden seal on the planet. Golden seal, if you know that plant, it only grows, and the whole planet only grows in the eastern woodland forests. So it's such a valuable medicinal herb. So That's a bit of our flagship herb. So, Herb Pharm has been instrumental, involved, supportive of United Plant Savers from the very beginning. And so in our education garden on the farm, we have one bed that is, we call it the United Plant Savers bed, and it's all those herbs that, because the United Plant Savers came up with a list of, these are herbs that you should be careful about getting from the wild. And Herb Pharm immediately committed to not using any of those herbs from the wild. So our golden seal is cultivated, our ginseng is cultivated, black cohosh is cultivated. So, that's another way that we've tried to be responsible business people. So thanks for mentioning the garden. Yeah, Doug?
Yeah, as far as if you repeat it, something that's nature that's sort of equivalent for multivitamin.
A tincture that's equivalent to a multivitamin. So that'd be something that you take every day for well-being, right? Okay. So there's a category of herbs called adaptogens. And if anybody's heard that word, adaptogens are any substance, usually it's plants, that help you to adapt to the environment, right? And so that means whether that environment includes stress, which is probably the biggest thing people have to adapt to these days. And so there is a whole class of herbs that does that, and we have different formulas. I'm a little rusty on our formulas, but Siberian ginseng and ginseng are good adaptogenic herbs. Ashwagandha, if you've heard of that plant, is a good adaptogen. But we probably have about 20 different adaptogenic herbs that we sell at Herb Pharm. I don't have and you see, I don't know what product to recommend to you right now, but that would be the closest that we would have to a multivitamin kind of thing to take every day. We do have remedies for pretty much everything, and our website is pretty easy to navigate and very informative if you wanted to look up anything in particular.
One more and then we move on. Ready up. Biochar and all.
Do we use biochar? I don't know the answer to that, honestly. I'm not involved. The farm keeps evolving, and since they've been doing the whole regenerative agriculture thing, I'm not exactly sure of all the techniques that they use, but so I don't know that.
Do you have side effects in your
side effects? That's a good question. So most of the plants that we use as directed, are not going to offer up that much, but that said, there are idiosyncrasies. Now, there are plants that would certainly cause side effects, especially used in, above the recommended amount. And, there's a book called the Botanical Safety Handbook that is our Bible that lists all the side effects and herb drug interactions for all of the different plants. So that's a really good question, and it's something to be aware of. And we have a customer service department that fields calls all day long, and a lot of times people take herbs, and especially if they're new to them, and then they have some kind of feeling going on. Of course, they think it's the herb, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. But it is something that we do talk to people about on a regular basis. But for the most part, we only deal in herbs that are safe and effective used as directed. So it's not a big problem we have. I'll say that in all of our years of business, we've never been sued by anybody, and we've sold millions and millions of bottles of tinctures, and we've never had we have people calling in with issues, but we're always able to resolve them.
There is, yes. She left a few things. Recipes with liquid herbal extracts is one, and then botanical garden education. So pick one up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep. Oh, sure. Okay, Kelly.
Okay. Well, on another note, yesterday we celebrated Juneteenth, national holiday. And people of all colors were celebrating the emancipation of slavery. Speeches, stories, life histories, and more were heard in every town and in every state. But it wasn't only speeches that told the story. So in 1935, a folk opera, which many of you are now saying, what is a folk opera? A folk opera was performed for the very first time. It was taken from a play that was by a couple named DuBose and Dorothy Hayward. They wrote a book and then a play in 1927, and it was written about the time, the era of slavery. Now, George Gershwin was a night owl because he couldn't sleep well. And he happened across something in the paper, and this was in the early 30s, about this story, which was turning into a play. And so he collaborated. And in 1935, he and his brother Ira put together a folk opera performed for the very first time. It was taken from a play, as I mentioned, called Porgy. But we know the folk opera as Porgy and Bess. And it dealt with America's struggles with bigotry, racism, gender, and class, and disabilities. Because if you don't know this fact, Porgy was disabled. And I thought, well, those are the same struggles we still have today. So the story takes place in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's in a rundown area that is known as Catfish Road. And one of the features of this story is the Gullah language, G-U-L-L-A-H. If you know anything about the Gullah language, the character and cultures that the characters embody, they speak the language and they use the language. What's an example? The word gumbo, the word voodoo. These are, and many more, are from the Gullah language. It's probably because many of these slaves were brought over from West Africa. And they were brought into the Carolinas, specifically South Carolina, to farm rice. And it probably derived from the word Angola, that they got Gullah. And so it's kind of a mishmash of several West African languages. So the Gershwins put together this folk opera, and they were immediately criticized. They were criticized for their depiction of Black culture and for the Gullah dialect being used in this opera, and the fact that George Gershwin said, when I make this opera, there will not be any white main characters. They'll all be Black. So, of course, this was going to be a problem. And so this all-Black cast was not only controversial, but also a good problem, because what it did is it opened up jobs for Black actors and actresses. And it also opened up opera to much more than the traditional audience that they had. I told you who Porgy was. Bess, she was kind of a loose woman, okay? If you've ever seen Carmen, Bizet's opera Carmen, well, then you kind of have an idea of who Bess was. Then you had the neighborhood bully Crown, and you also had the drug dealer in the neighborhood. His name was Sportin' Life. Sportin' Life, yeah. And then you had the street vendors. They all had great names. Mingo was one of them. There were many more. At the opening of the first performance, the audience was ready to give it to them. They were ready to boo them. They were ready to throw stuff at them. They were ready to show their disapproval. And then it happened. The song Summertime was sung. And as soon as that song was sung, you could have heard a pin drop in the audience. Nobody moved. And when that song ended, everybody rose up and applauded. And from that moment on, Porgy and Bess became a solid piece in this country. And if you ever get a chance, oh, and all over the world, but if you ever get a chance to see a version of Porgy and Bess, I'm going to suggest to you Audra McDonald. If you know who she is, she's unbelievable singer. So ask for an Audra version. And now it's time for Happy Bucks. Who's got some Happy Bucks? Okay, Pat's got Happy Bucks.
Following on that, I got the Happy Bucks for the Juneteenth celebration that we had right here yesterday at Riverside Park.
I had the same experience and just combining going to the Juneteenth celebration and Porch Fest and just all the positivity that was at both of those events was just amazing, from the vendors to the volunteers to the stories and just everything. So I have 5 Happy Bucks for that.
And I'm gonna follow their lead. I'm coming this way first.
I've got Happy Bucks for today for the learning. I love learning, and I thank you for the story about Porgy and Bess. That's great. I will look it up. That's wonderful. And for the presentation day on the Herb Pharm, that, you know, I was wondering what happened to Pacific Botanical because I had visited there and I hadn't heard anything about it. So it's nice to know that it's still alive and growing and being utilized. So I do look forward to going out to learn more.
I have Happy Bucks for a great Porch Fest. This is the first time that I have heard so many compliments of what we do and what we did. You know, it's like, oh, this is the best community event and it's free. And oh, we have this mirror music and that music. And so a giant thank you, Miss Patty, because she's our major fundraiser and everybody else. Well, and oh, Judy, okay, good. Everybody, it was wonderful and it was great fun. And the other thing is, today I got to go with Jim out to Herb Pharm, and we completed a grant project, and that was tons of fun, seeing these little kids learn how to journal little objects that they found on the ground or wherever. One was a giant cockroach.
Thank you, babe. Happy Bucks. The raffle winners from Porch Fest had to come to our house to pick up the prizes. And so we got to hear up close and personal how much fun they all had. There was one that Kirk sold tickets, or he bought the tickets for last year. She won. And this year she won. And Kirk bought the first 2 tickets being sold this year, and she won. And it was Lucky Liz is what the raffle ticket said, and she was very lucky. There was one that said she got interviewed by the newspaper, and I saw her name in there. And there was others that just, the connections were wonderful. They loved it. They just absolutely loved it.
You got the first one, need some money. So, I got quite a few Happy Bucks. So, 55 for Patty and Judy and the gang. Thank you. Yep. Happy Buck for Sarah too for her presentation. Where she said, oh, that's it, Sarah. But to add on, that you have been an amazing support of the library, and the library out there in Williams is happening every year. Thank you. Yes. Also Happy Buck for City Council. They put in a lot of hard work. I was at a meeting last night and they okayed some rather oddball switches of money. So they found a way to be flexible and to fund a housing project at the top of town, and then to use some other money to fund the Veterans Housing Project. So good for them. And for all their hard work. And then I got a little odd story. I was the Evans House place where the Veterans Village is going to go. It's got an irrigation ditch runs alongside of it, and it's full of gopher holes, and it's leaking really badly. So I'm up there in my shorts, walking around in the ditch, trying to figure out how to clog off these gopher holes before him. So I got my little booties on and I'm working the dirt, trying to find gopher holes and then packing the gopher holes. I got it all clogged up. My feet are so goddamn sore right now. It is amazing what your feet feel like after using them in that odd way. So.
Well, having done fundraising for a few years for this event, Porch Fest, the first year you had to describe, people come on the front porch, and everybody walks around, and there's food trucks there. And now you just go in and say Porch Fest, and because of all of you that worked and did your jobs, it's an easier sell. So just want to thank everyone. $10.
It's 50-50, isn't it?
Yes.
I'd like to give some happy bucks also. Actually, I just want to repeat, if I could, I'd repeat whatever every one of you just said. So it's just to it, as they say in Latin, all the above. All right. So we have a deck of cards somewhere. Go ahead. It's right here.
And also, we want to,
Do those need to be sold or are they the cards? Okay.
Oh, she's gonna hit them. Okay.
Well, let me.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're about to talk about, I always get the privilege of the thought of the day, but ending the meeting with the thought of the day. And I want to do something in honor of Sarah for her wonderful presentation. So I dug up this book. It's called The Village Healer's Book of Cures by Jennifer Roberts. Some of you probably know her. She lives here. Her husband Tim lives here. And she just recently published this book a year or so ago. Anyway, this is for, so I'm going to read you a little cure, or at least something you create to cure yourself. No, this is for courage and cheer. And this is how you make Rosa Solis. Have you ever heard that before, Rosa Solis? This goes back to 1646, so this is an old one. Anyway, so take half a peck of the herb called Rosa Solis, being gathered before the sun do arise in latter end of June or the beginning of July. Pick them and lay them upon a board to dry all the day. Thanks, everybody.